Okay, so in the previous class, we were learning about how do we match a job with a person, right? How can we find out the best person for the best job? That is, we know what is it. Basically, we can say staffing up is finding the right man for the right job. So, how do we do that? That is what we have seen in the previous class, right? So, what is the first step? First step, we need to find out the right man for the right job. So, we need to identify what is the job itself. Okay, only after having a thorough understanding about the job only we can identify who is the best suited for that particular job. So for that, we do something called a process known as job analysis, right? To find out anything and everything about the job, we do a process known as job analysis, right? So what is job analysis? So we know every job, okay, every single job will have a certain requirements which has to be met by the person who has to perform the job, right? Every single job will have a certain requirement which has to be performed, which has to be met by the or satisfied by the persons who have to do a job. Like if you have a job in translating, okay, if you have a job in translating uh, English to Malayalam, okay, so you must know English, right? That's your requirement. So job analysis means it is a study of these requirements and the factors which influence these requirements. Okay, we are finding out what is the requirement and also what are the factors which influence a requirement. So the study of that is job analysis. The job analysis study of the requirements and the factors which influence the requirement. And what are these requirements? Requirement means the basic things which has to be met by a worker to perform a job, right? So with that, we can identify the qualities a worker must have. So job analysis is concentrate on certain parameters. The first one is performance standards, right? What are we going to do? Are we talking in terms of quantity? That that has to be considered. Whether job is to produce a good quality item, okay, or a satisfactory large number quality item. An expert can do it. But if we can do mechanical process, so even a perform the job. So that what is performance standards. Then what are the activities that has to be considered? Whether it is or uh, more psychological activities are more, right? That has to be considered. To make clear that we also considered, right? Both technologies be considered. Then the context of the job, right? Where do we work? Identification of where do we work? What are the schedule we have to follow? What are the social conditions around where we operate? Then comes personal requirements, right? Personal requirements, you know what is the we have we what are what uh, what are required in the person requirement and as I said earlier on more skilled person. Okay. The skills right, the training, all other first step for the perform and come selection process. Then comes selection and what selection process from the selection things, right? That is we need to be right, have job job for the tech for the job that are in that person all in selection, what we do is we choose the most suitable person, current, most suitable person, and for where we need to be. So there may be an option right now. Okay? So it may the possibility that want to expand in the future. Okay? So we have to do the so it may go currently we have an opening in future might selecting a person right now and we need to sometimes make this best person the current or future. And from where do we choose? From the we have a pool of candidates. Okay? Within our organization. Okay? We can promote someone. Okay? Or we may to someone. Okay? That may be also done. Right? Within the organization, from outside the organization. Suppose if we do not find a correct, we have to choose someone from this. Okay? So basically what we do we select the best person for the best job, and that makes the. But what we have to understand again is what is like if whenever we say we are selecting a person, it means we are also rejecting someone also, right? We are rejecting someone also. So selection means it is not only the choosing the best person, but doesn't meet our requirements. So we have done the job analysis. Now we need to move the person who has not met our standard. Okay, so that has also to be done, right? So so selection involves not only choosing the best person, but also rejecting inapt person, right? That has to be considered. So there's a problem with the screen. I'll share. So before selection, what happens is we need recruitment. So we said we need a pool, right? We need a pool of person. So for that, we do something called recruitment, right? So recruitment means we are advertising. We are advertising there's an opening there, and we are incentivizing people to join also. Okay, that is the recruitment process, right? Now, how does the selection process work? Selection process it consists of the following steps. What are the first steps? Basically, obtaining the job description and job specification. So we have done the job analysis. Now we know what are the steps. Okay, what are the requirements? So we need to identify what is the job requirement, and we need to find out the what is the we know what is the job requirement. So we make a description and we get a specification. Okay, so job description it gives us what is the title. Okay, what is the job title, or which department the person has to work. Okay, or what are the works he has to perform. So description it will describe the job. Okay, your title is site engineer. Okay, you might be working on a bridge. Okay, a bridge construction. You might be working on bridge construction. So what are the works have to be considered? You have to you'll be singly in charge of the entire project. Like that, it will be given the description. And specification it gives you basis for the assessment of the candidate. Okay, so it helps to distinguish between the essential and desirable requirements. Okay, essential requirements we know for a site engineer he should be BTech in civil engineering, right? He must have certain experience. Okay, all these things are essential for sometimes for our job, right? So there will be certain things which will be helpful for him. It will be unique for certain candidates. Okay, like he's staying close to the site. Okay, or he has a good knowledge about the area. All these things comes into menu. That becomes desirable. Okay, so that will help the person to stand out. So it will make the assessment easier. Okay, so once we have prepared or got the job description and job specification, then we put out the application forms. So application form, it's a screening mechanism. Okay, it's a screening mechanism globally. Right? So the application form will collect all the required data. We know what is the requirements, right? Personal requirements from the job analysis. All this data, whether this person is having these qualities are, um, or whether this person is having or satisfy these requirements can be identified from the application form. So regarding what is his age, training, education, experience, all these things will be put in the application form. So what will happen is, so the not so application form itself, they'll get discouraged. So the process will be discouraged and fill out the application. So it acts as a screening mechanism, right? So people can, so we can make cut short the numbers of applicants easily, right? Then comes test. So test may be, it may be aptitude test, then trade test, and psychological test. Trade test means if you are going for a software engineer, software works, you'll be asked to do something on the software. Okay, do a project on software and show us what you're doing. Or an instrument, how do you use the instrument? Tell us how. That will be trade test. Psychologically, also you may be tested. That will depend upon the job, right? Once that is done, you have passed the, so you met the requirements in the application form, then you have passed the test, and you will go for interview. So interview means basically it's a conversation, right? It's a conversation between interviewer and the applicant, right? What you have to understand again is the interviewer. He might be a single person or he might be a panel, right? There might be a panel of experts or might be a single person, right? So what happens is the interviewer, he'll ask you questions and he'll be assessing your knowledge, okay, your suitability, your ability. All these things will be assessed, okay, and you'll be judging on you basically because you have the qualifications you have met you have passed the test they have given. So next step is they need to identify you as a person. So interviewer, he will be a qualified person, he will be a of who has experience in this sort of work, and he will judge you your ability and suitability. Okay, so it can be one-on-one interview, it can be a panel, then it can be in-person interview or over a phone or a like a Skype call or a over Google Meet or like that. Okay, interview can be like that also. Then uh, demanding upon your job, you will be have to undergo physical training or physical examination. Okay, maybe to show that you don't have any diseases or making something that makes you unsuitable for the work. Okay, maybe you have the physical requirements, your height, your weight, these things has to be checked. Okay, that will depend upon the job. And finally, we have the induction orientation. Okay. So induction and orientation means you have been selected. Okay, you have passed all these things. Now you have to be introduced and told about the company. So that is induction and orientation, right? So induction, you are basically you're giving introduction to the company, like what you have in your first day in the college. Okay? You were introduced to your teachers, your principal, your classrooms. You were taken to your lab, right? You were shown your canteen. Everything has been shown. Where is it? What has been done? Like that, it has been shown to you. You will giving a introduction. Okay. Then here, what will happen? Apart from that, you will be given an introduction about the job also. What is the job? Like each subject teacher comes in and tell you, okay, this is what we have to learn. This is what we have to do. Okay? Same way. Okay, what is your job? An introduction for that will be given. Okay, then necessary information about the organization and help develop a relationship because a new person, a newly appointed person may not know anyone in the office. So there should be one of the person will come in and suppose what happens is whenever a new teacher comes in, your staff advisor will accompany her or him right to the class and will give you an introduction. Okay, this is your teacher, like that. So they will act as a bridge, right? So that is induction and orientation, right? This is what we have seen in the previous class. Clear? Hopefully you have no doubts in that, right? So the next topic is we are talking about selection itself, but we are giving a systems approach. Okay, we have learned about system approach. Remember in the second module when we are learning about the theories. Okay, how management came into today's form. We learned about a system approach, right? Remember, we have an input, we have a undergoes a transformation process, then we have an output. The output will act as a feedback to the input. So four components: input, transformation process, output, and feedback. Okay? That was a system approach to management. Now we are applying the same system approach to selection. Okay, so we know because selection is one of the key area, right? Because a manager or an employee works will translate into the company's performance, right? If we are not choosing the right person for the right job, if you're choosing a bad apple, the entire company will suffer. So selection becomes a very important aspect. We might be having good organization goal, we might be having good organizing, everything will be good. But if we choose a wrong person in a key position, then whatever we have done, everything will get spoiled. So selection is a very important aspect as far as we are concerned, right? So a systematic approach is essential to manager selection, right? So we should be having a systematic approach. It's not that just come in and randomly cannot select. We should have systematic approach. So we have seen, right? So we have what did we have? We analyzed the job, right? We formed the list. Then we formed the job description and job analysis. Job specifications. Then we put out the application form stating what are our requirements. Okay. So CGPA this much. No history of back paper. So these were our requirements. So persons with that cannot apply. So we had a application form. Then we conducted test, right? Then we interviewed, right? Then when we send them to physical examination, all these things have been done step by step, right? So we need a systematic approach in manager selection and to assess the present and future needs of manager personnel, right? Also, we need to not only we have to select, but we need to know what is our requirement also. Okay, our present requirement, our future requirement, right? We need to understand that also. So selection, as we said in selection and definition itself, we said, right? Selection is choosing the best suitable applicant for the current or future openings. So we need to know whether we have a current opening or we will have a future opening, right? That has to be considered, like the one in manager inventory charts. So in manager inventory chart, we know that a person is close to retirement or a person is not satisfactorily working. So we should have an idea. Okay, we should know whether what is our current status as far as employees are required, because qualified managers are critical to the success of an organization. So a systematic approach is essential to the manager selection and to assess the present and future needs of the for manager person. Okay? Because getting a qualified person is critical for the success of an organization, and getting him also is difficult. Right? A good employee will have many opportunities. So identifying a good employee and getting him to an organization is a task in itself. Right? So every system has 4 elements: inputs, transformation process, outputs, and feedback. Right? What we have said. We have an input, we'll have a transformation process, we'll form an output, then we'll have feedback based on the output. Okay, the output was good, the output was bad. We'll change the inputs in the next cycle, right? So we'll discuss the block diagram later once we get an idea about this, right? So the manager requirement plan is based on the firm's objective, forecast, plans, and strategies, right? As we know, right? Whether what is our aim, okay? Whether we are we are trying to become a global company, okay? Or we are trying to grow, okay? Or sometimes what will happen is we are having a small unit. Now we are satisfied that we will be continuing like this. No, they will have a different requirement list, right? And if our aim is to grow, right, we have to become a multinational company. That's our goal. We will have a different approach. So the requirements will depend upon the objective. What is the firm's objective? What are our forecast? Okay, so whether we are seeing that we are having growth in the company, Okay? So we need more and more personnel. So that will be system focus, our plans and strategies. Okay? So this plan is translated into position requirement and job design. Okay? So these are our plans? Okay, we need to grow. So suppose what will happen? We are having an office in Kannur. Now we are going to expand. We need an office in, say for example, in Ernakulam. Okay, Kochi. Okay? We are going to set up an office in Kochi. So there we need a manager, right? So we need a requirement. So that will our aim. My aim is to open an office in Kochi. Okay. So a branch in Kochi. So that will translate to that, right? So my plan is opening a branch in Kochi. So I need I need a good manager over there. Okay. So my plan or my objective will translate into position requirement. So my plan is to open a branch in Kochi. So there came a requirement that there should be a manager. Okay, and something called job design. The job design means we have to see that in detail later. So job design basically from the term itself, job design. So job design may shows what are the or defines what are the various tasks to be completed in a job. Okay, what are the tasks to be completed and how it is to be completed. That is the methods, right? What we say in the game itself. Okay? Level 1, level 2, level 3, and finally we reach the end of the game, right? So similarly, job design means defines the different tasks to do in a job. Okay, if we do all the tasks in a job, the entire job will get completed. So job design defines these tasks and also the methods of performing this task. Okay, we'll see that in detail later. Just right now, understand it. So the plan is translated into position requirements and job design, so which are matched with the individual characteristics like intelligence, knowledge, skills, attitudes, and experience. Okay, so based on our objectives, based on our goals or plans, what we'll do, that will tell us what is the requirement. Okay, and what is the job design. Okay, what are the tasks to be done, how it is to be done. Okay, based on our plans, and these things, the requirements will then tell us what is the characteristics required, like intelligence, knowledge, skill. Okay, what is the education. All these things will be shown. Understood? That is, see, we are having an office in Kannur. We are going to open an office in Kochi, right? So that's our objective. Now what happens is, based on my objective, now I have requirements, right? I should have a manager over there. I should have employees over there. So that became my requirements. Now, what is job design? The manager has to do this jobs. Okay? That becomes job design. Okay, and for meeting these requirements, he has to do certain. He should have certain qualities. Okay, so the manager has to do these jobs, so he should have these qualities. Okay, he should have a degree of this. He should have an education of this level. He should have experience of this level. Right? You understood the change connection? So, office in Kannur, head office in Kannur, a branch in Kochi. A branch in Kochi is my plan. The plan will lead to the requirement. Requirement is I need a manager and 2 employees. Maybe. Okay, I need a manager and 2 employees. That's my requirement. And and manager has to do this jobs. Okay, he has to do job A, B, C. Okay, similarly, employees has to do job X, Y, Z. Right? So that will be job design. Okay, so manager has to do job A, B, and C. So doing A, B, and C, he must have certain education, certain experience. Right? This is how we do. Right? So the recruitment and selection process must be done with due consideration to the internal and external environment. Right? So whenever we are doing this, the recruitment and selection must be done with the due consideration to internal environment. Okay, that is basically we should consider the environment. Okay, the internal environment and external environment. So what are the internal environment? The company policy, the company culture, right? What sort of culture we have, what is our company policies, these has to be considered. And external environment, laws, regulations, availability of human resources, right? Availability of efficient human resources is a big problem itself. We should consider what are the laws, regulations, and all. Okay, so we might have seen in certain countries what will happen is small children will be working in the jobs. Right? They will be working in factories, but for our country, it's illegal. Right? We cannot permit that. So, you cannot expect to work small children in the for a factory, right? So that has to be considered. So all these factors input. Okay. So as we said, we have an office in Kannur. We are going to set up an office in Kochi. So there we have a requirement, right? We need a manager. We need certain staff, certain numbers of staff, right? So each of these staff has to do certain job, and they should have certain requirements. They should meet certain requirements. So this becomes the input, right? In a system, so we have input, transformation process, output. So all these things becomes input. Whenever we are choosing the input, we have to take care. We have to see that the the environment, the external and internal environment factors are to be considered, right? So these forms the input. Then the effective recruitment and selection process will place appropriate persons in the job so that organization can meet their requirement. This is transformation process. So once you are selected, once you know what is the input. Next is you need a good selection, recruitment and selection process. So this will effective recruitment and selection process will place appropriate people in the job. So that becomes that will help you meet an organization goal, right? If you have good personnel in the job, you'll have a good result, right? We'll meet the goal, right? So that becomes the transformation process. The selection and recruitment becomes transformation process. Next, after the person is selected, he must be introduced to the job. After the person is selected, he must be introduced to the job. The orientation involves learning about the company and its operation, social aspects. Okay, what we have said earlier, in selection process. So what we are doing is what we have said earlier, the selection process, we are giving it a certain names. Okay, we are bracketing it. Okay, we are grouping it only. So after the selection process, we know induction and orientation is done. So a new employee can carry out his work, which will determine the organization performance, how well the person is doing the job. Okay, so the performance of the employee is appraised, and those who meet the performance goals are rewarded. Okay, they may be promoted. Okay, they may be given a bonus. Okay, or maybe they're given extra holidays. Right? So whoever is working best, they will get the benefit also, right? So on the basis of this evaluation, the manager and the organization development is initiated, right? So if the employee is working good, then the organization will also have a development. Okay? So as output, the employee may be promoted, demoted, transferred or based on the appraisal. Okay. So this feedback, this is the output is the based on the appraisal. You'll see what is the whether the employee has to be promoted or demoted or maybe transferred or basically sometimes he might has to be terminated. Okay, so that becomes the output, and the feedback. This feedback is used as the input for subsequent process. Okay, so I think this is the chart. Okay, so we know the selection means choosing the best suited person for the current or future openings from within an organization or outside the organization. Basically, choosing the right man for the right job. Okay, in selection process, what underlies job analysis has to be done. Based on job analysis, we know what is the job description, what is the job specification, right? So based on that, we can identify what are the traits, what are the requirements in a applicant we need. So based on that, we can do the selection process. Okay. So what happens in system approaches, we are making it a systematic process rather than see sometimes what happens is you might have seen owner. Okay, owner will know a person. Okay, some will know a person. So he'll say, okay, based on his personal relationship, he'll say, okay, appoint him. Okay, give him the post of that post in his company. Okay, so that is one form of selection, but that is based on his personal connection with the applicant. Okay, the owner knew the person. So he came in for a job. So he said, okay, I know you can work. That's also a process. But in system approach, we need a systematic approach. Okay. So what is we do? We know manage the requirements plan. So that is what is the plan of the company. Okay. What is our goal? What is our objective? Okay. Based on that, we have the position requirements and job design. Okay. See, we have the manager requirements. So based on that, we'll have the position. We have the positional requirements and job design. Okay. Like we said, example itself. We have a branch of we have an office in Kannur. We are going to open an office in Cochin. So that's our aim. Okay, that's our objective. So to meet that aim, we have certain positions are open. We have a manager and 2 employees. The manager has to perform task A, B, and C. Employees has to perform X and Y. Right. So we have a position requirement and job design based on the requirement manager requirement plans. Right. And what has to be done, we have to take into consideration the individual. Okay. So whether the person is meeting the manager has to perform A, B, and C. Whether can he do this job? So individual characteristics are also taken into consideration. And based on these two, that is based on the position available, we have one managerial post. We have to perform A and C. Okay. Suppose person comes. 5 of them can do the job. So we'll set the best because we have only one requirement, right? So based on the 5, we'll set only one. So if we have 5 openings, we'll select the 5 also, right? So that's okay. Based on what is the positional requirement, what is the job design, and whether the person is meeting the requirement, based on that we'll select. Okay. Becomes individual characteristics becomes the input. Then transformation process. Transformation process will happen with the external environment and internal environment. Both will have a role. Okay, recruitment, selection, placement, and promotion. Okay. So that will lead to transformation, and we'll have a new person will be selected, right? Then we have to be, once he has oriented, then we will assess the developed performance. How does he perform? The managerial performance will be assessed, and also the if he performs well, the organization will also perform very well. So managerial performance will lead to enterprise performance, company performance, or organization performance. Then we have to do the output. Output is appraisal. Okay, appraisal rewards. So based on the manager's performance, based on the company's performance, what will happen is if the manager is performing very well, but the company is not doing good. Okay, so we might not be able to give him the salary hike which he deserves, right? So that both has to be considered based on the company's performance and also the manager's performance. We'll be giving him the appraisal. We'll be doing the appraisal. Okay, we'll be reviewing the review and we'll be giving the rewards. Okay. Okay. What will be the reward? Reward might be promotion. Maybe positive things will happen. Also, negative things may be also. If it is not, manager is also not working good. The company is also not doing good. So we will be forced to someone or demote someone. Right? Feedback. So, his performance will ask the feedback, and it will go to the requirements plan, position requirements, individual characteristics. Okay. So suppose our Cochin office is not doing. Okay, the Cochin office is not going good. So our requirement, so we may be forced to shut down the Cochin office, right? So the employees have to be terminated. But sometimes our Cochin office is doing extremely well. Okay, so we have openings. We have more openings. We had one manager opening. Now we have 2 or 3 managers can work. So we are expanding. So based on the appraisal, okay. Based on the appraisal, we can find out whether. Okay. Then that's what we have to do. We have to do some development also, and development will be done during okay whenever the employee is being added to the company itself. Okay. So orientation will lead to development also. Both are there. The development will lead to during orientation will happen. The orientation will lead to further development also, right? So in system approach, what we do is we know the selecting the right man for the right job is the most critical, one of the most critical aspects, because if we do not have the right person, our company will not perform good. Whether we have a good plan, we have a good organization, we have control system, and even if despite of all this, our company may not perform well, right? We need to have the right person. So we need to apply a systematic approach. Okay. While systematic approach, what we say is we'll have input, transformation process, output, and feedback. From output, we'll have feedback, which will go to input, right? So whenever we are choosing for a job, we need to consider what is the plan, company's goal, company's long-term goal. This thing has to be considered based on company's objective. We'll have staff requirements, okay, and based on staff requirements and job to be done, we'll have the characteristics needed in the person based on job, right? So these will be input. Next is transformation process, and we have to recruit and select. Okay, while doing the recruitment and selection, sometimes we may be promoting also. Okay, that may be so. Recruitment selection, we need to take care of or we need to identify the internal and external characteristics also. Okay, environment also. Okay, so that becomes a transformation process, and the output is performance. Okay, based on the performance. So once he's selected, he has to be oriented, and his performance has to be analyzed. Not only his performance, but the company's performance also. Based on these two, his manager's performance and company's performance, he will be rewarded. Okay, he may be given. So that becomes the output. His reward may be promotion. Okay, if he is not working good enough, he might be had to be terminated. So that becomes the output. Okay, and this output will further act as a feedback to our company's objective, our job design, our requirement, and our personal characteristics. So if we know that person was not good enough, right? So even though, so we'll see that the next person we hire is not like that, like him, right? We'll see that whether he is having the trait. Or sometimes what happens, person who had done a very good job. So we'll be keeping an eye for person similar to him, right? So we'll discuss it again. Don't worry. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Or else we'll move on to relevance.